If you're a business owner who's smart, strategic, you're doing well, you feel like you're stuck at a glass ceiling. You're working 14-hour days only to feel constantly reactive and overwhelmed, then you want to listen to this. I've spent thousands of hours in the chair coaching world elites, helping generate tens of millions in revenue. And I've seen that the biggest bottleneck is not a lack of talent. It's the failure to protect the most expensive asset that you own, and that is your time. And I learned this the hard way when I was moving from construction to the global coaching stage. You can't build a limitless life using limited tools. Today, we're going to be breaking down the 2 keys to the zone of fulfillment and the identity flip that finally allows you to operate like a true CEO. So if you've watched the previous episode, you probably realized that you've now identified the leaks for a data-driven audit to where your time is leaking. But that's only the first step. If you don't change how you fundamentally perceive your time, you'll naturally drift back into old habits and end up in the dimension of demand. And you'll end up setting a countdown clock to quitting on your own growth. To actually stay in the zone, which is the bullseye, the things that are important and not urgent, and lead a truly limitless life, you must master these 2 keys to fulfillment. So before I share these with you, you're going to have some resistance, and you might say that you're not actually able to make a choice, which is actually our first key. You must realize that you have choices. Most stress comes from making everything a must. And the truth is, there's always at least 3 options for every situation. But when you see yourself as having 0 options, that's when you're going to end up really, really stressed. And when you see that you do have options, you're going to be more willing to control your own time. Be in a position where you can do the things you want to do versus what you have to do. So the first opportunity towards growth is awareness. Yes, awareness is the first step to cure. But now that you've got that awareness from a previous episode, now it's about changing your fundamental beliefs about what is possible and what's not possible, what you can control versus what you can't control, and realizing what you have versus what's missing. So that's the first key, allowing yourself to realize that you have a choice. And usually you always have at least 3 options to make that choice. Which leads us into key number 2, where you now need to realize that you must change your beliefs about what is urgent. So the first one is you think everything is a must, but now we need to change our beliefs about what is urgent. We get really sucked into urgency because it makes us feel important. It makes us feel like we live this crazy life, like we have a dramatic, powerful life, and look at me, I'm busy and I'm doing things. But most of those emergencies are trivial things that we all exaggerate to enhance our own ego, and we know that to be true. So the next time you feel a must coming up, ask yourself, is that really a must? Or are there 3 other ways that task could be handled? You want to start really practicing the ability to break the pattern of reacting to your environment and stop making things more important than they really are. I remember a time where, whether it was in construction, whether I had previous business, or even in coaching, where I was truly a slave of my phone. I didn't even used to switch off my phone at all. If I switched off my internet, I would feel like, life was going to be doomed. And, what if I get a phone call? Which I was even putting myself in the position to get distracted, because my life was always based on this phone call that was never coming. And I also used to get this serious level of stress just by thinking about leaving my phone at home if I went for a walk. Or what I now do is I turn off my phone before I go to sleep. And before I used to think I can't do that. So I'd always get stupid phone calls at 3 a.m. and then ask myself, why am I tired? Why can't I have the energy that everyone else around me has? Until one day I realized that I have a choice about my life and what I do with my possessions, e.g. my phone or my emails. So what I started doing was I started setting expectations up front. It took a while for people to really get it, but now they all get it. So number 1, everyone knows my phone's off when I sleep. They don't even try to call me, and if they do, it's off, but people now less try to call me. The second thing is when I met a client, I always let them know, if you email me, it's going to take you up to 48 hours to get a response. Now, the truth is it's never taken 48 hours, but I told them that it could take up to 48 hours so that I could manage their expectations. And you know what started happening? Because people thought they were going to wait 48 hours to hear from me, especially if it was an email and a non-urgent thing, truthfully, they started figuring out their own stuff, their own shit, right? So what you really want to do is start to understand that you have control over your time and you have to shift your beliefs around what you think is urgent, because you'll realize very quickly that things are never that urgent. And if they are, they'll find the way to find you, and you'll find out about it, and you can react then if you have to. If you're living right now and you're telling yourself a story that you don't have a choice and everything is urgent, then it's really harming you, it's harming your business, and it's also harming the people around you, like your family life. And what's eventually going to happen is you're going to burn out, you're going to get tired, and you're going to quit. So don't try and just become aware of what's happening in your day and try and fix that, but also become aware of your beliefs, become aware of what you focus on, become aware of how you do things and how you condition those around you. And you're going to start to realize that your time is going to start compounding, and you're going to start having more and more time to do the things that are important to you, that you want to do, rather than what you have to do. So as usual, if you're ready to stop leaking 60% of your life into the dimension of demand or the delusion of others, and you want to discuss how we can shatter those mental limits in a one-to-one capacity, send me a message. And lastly, I believe business owners who want to grow their income while working less should prioritize shattering these mental limits over traditional skill acquisition. I'll see you next time. Stay limitless.